I forgot to hit record, guys. Okay. Esmeralda, welcome. We're
Thank
looking
you.
we're looking over our color cards and choosing our colors, and we're going to share that with each other.
Okay.
So have you guys got kind of yours picked out?
Yeah.
Somewhat anyways, for sure. Okay, so why don't you start with what your 4 colors are in sequence?
Green.
Speak up a little louder so they hear.
Green, yellow, red, and blue.
Okay, and what are your strings?
I did red, green, yellow, then blue.
Okay, Esmeralda, what are you?
I think I'm green for
Yeah.
sure. And then it's red, I think, and then it's yellow and then blue.
Okay. Cassie, were you able to see the cards?
Yeah. Green, red, blue, and yellow.
Okay. Rach?
Green, red, yellow, and blue. And I was just looking over these again, and I think it would be really, really lovely if we had like some in different contexts too, because I do sometimes feel like when it comes to like my interpersonal relationships, the red comes out a little bit more. And in some other things in my life, like the yellow comes out a little bit more. So yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about it this week, that's all.
But it's true, isn't it? It's very true. Thank you for adding that plus. Christine.
Okay, mine one was red, and then green was 2, blue was 3rd, and yellow was 4th for me.
Okay. So all right, so we're gonna do a little bit of round robin. So the red expects, who was red first? You were red first,
I was
right?
red first, yeah.
So a red would expect what, under what that category is?
In communication,
Yeah,
good attitude in personal relationship, involvement with others, empathy and consideration of their needs, personal touch and informality, eye-to-eye contact, references to people involved, to know how others will react, their feelings to be respected, and for all to have equal consideration.
yes. And your first color was?
Green.
Green. Okay, what's green's preference of expectation?
Step-by-step unfolding of the topic, written schedule and action plan, thorough, timely, and reliable follow-through, consistency, alignment with well-established procedures, assurance that this has been done before, explanation of how it will happen, and references and background info.
Okay, and now the next color is, who wants to do blue?
I can read it, I don't mind.
Okay, share the blue. What do they expect?
Okay, they expect brief, clear, and precise information, materials that are direct and to the point, well-articulated ideas presented in a logical format, data and fact-based charts, technical accuracy, presentation in alignment with goals and objectives.
Okay, it's interesting. Now, if you take a blue and you look at the red, the blue wants to be short, sweet, to the point. The blue, they want everybody involved, and they want to share the whole story. The blue doesn't want the whole story. This is my husband. This is me.
Mine too.
I have this on the wall in my office so I can practice. But if you're in a delivery room or you're at a birth and you have different preferences of communication, I would fire this person first, or I would not like this person first. I would have a reaction to this person because they're not warm and fuzzy to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I need this person. So I've learned to work with my husband to be more clear and articulate, or when he gets in his blue mode, I tell him, you're too much blue right now. I had a thing with my daughter. She was one daughter. I have 6 daughters. And so one of them was concerned. She was having a panic attack. And he says, "What do you mean she having a panic attack? It's bright outside." I said, "That was a blue answer." I said, "She needed a red heart dad. She just needs to be heard." You know, so we can play with that now. At the beginning, it took a little time, but we now understand, and we don't take it personal, because a lot of times when communication breaks down, we take it personal instead of preference. So you look at the green and the yellow. The yellow wants an overview, a concept, spontaneous. The green wants a step-by-step written schedule, action plan, thorough, timely, reliable. So when Rachel was first engaging with me, her green side was very strong. My yellow side was flying all over the place.
Oh, I can't imagine. That would
And
Stories I could tell you guys, I swear.
oh.
so, but we've learned to embrace all of it, all parts of ourselves. But your 4th color is what colors for you? Blue. What's your 4th color, Christine?
Yellow.
Rach, what's your 4th color?
Blue.
So, and then just Cassie, what's your 4th color?
Yellow.
Okay, so those are the people you're gonna fire. Those are the people you're gonna have a difficult time with. And you don't want to hang with them at times, but you need them. And if you're engaging with them, as I say, in a delivery room, in a family event, I did this with my family, made them do this exercise and put the card in each corner. And they had to do the 1, 2, 3, 4, because I had to figure out who I was talking to with my kids. And my kids were the ones I was having challenges with, were that almighty blue. So, so I want you to practice with these, play with these. And it has been, Rachel, have you found these to be helpful?
At times, you know, like just when I'm thinking about like communication styles, you know, I mean, you and I have talked about some of them, and when you pull them out, it does make a lot of sense. You know, just thinking about that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and when you were first at him, you and your husband, you kind of found out what he was too.
Yeah, last week I made him take it, and he's a blue, which is so funny because like we have no problems really communicating at this point. But I mean, it's like I think I was a big red when we first started dating, and he was still like a pretty big blue. And so like I think back on who we were at 18 and 24, you know, and and that really comes across pretty loud and clear. But yeah.
Yeah. So, so it also reflects on how we handle our bedside manners. So I want you guys, I'm going to do a breakout with the 4 of you, and you 2. You can go in the kitchen or whatever, just to be by yourselves. And we're going to give you 20 minutes, 20 minutes to kind of share your story and discover your bedside manner, how you nurture, where you feel compassionate, how you express that, what you're learning, your listening skills, and what your internal responses to somebody, how you would just share your stories, you know, whatever parts of your story you're willing to share, just talk. Well, the 3 of you, Esmeralda dropped off. She doesn't always have the best connection. So right now, the 3 of you, so we'll make it longer. So make it 10 minutes for each of you. And then we're going to go from there. Okay?
Yeah.
Fair enough. So let me break out room. Uh,
Oh, can I
Okay, so the three of you can go in and just hit the join button. Okay. Okay. And the two of you, if you want to find a little quiet corner in the house, it's fine. And just kind of share your story. You know? Okay.
Hi, Carol.
Oh, there you are. Good. Hold on. Hold on a minute. I'm gonna create another, I'm gonna create another room. Hold on. Let me get, hold on a minute.
Uh-huh.
Let me see. So, Rachel's joining us in a minute and I can put you in a room with her.
Okay.
Um,
Somebody there that's
Okay.
like for me, like that's an outsider, doesn't know my story, like knows what I do. And it was like.
okay, hold on. I only made one breakout room, but I will. Let me just. So you're working. How's your rib feeling?
Oh, much better. Much better.
Thank God.
Yeah. Because the girl who usually works with me, she's on vacation. She's in Italy.
Oh, wow.
Hmm. Yeah.
So what we did was we went over our yearnings, you know, for the 3 yearnings for tonight.
Okay.
We went over and the refresher on the communication cards.
Okay.
Now we're sharing our story with each other. And it's also going to enhance our bedside manner. You know, our listening skills. How do we listen? Where do we feel compassion? You know, that's
My favorite things to do.
yeah. So Rachel just texted me and said, but anyways, so we'll just talk about Cheryl real quick. So I don't know if you've been paying attention to the chat. She was having contractions yesterday, but she didn't have anything today. She had a really show the couple days before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and she's still preparing.
Yeah.
You know, she's still preparing, but she's just
Mhm.
not gotten there yet. So I just don't. I don't know.
Could be any day now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm really excited for her, but I'm more excited for you guys.
Yeah. It's exciting.
So we have 3 more students. And I'm excited about that. So way on the south side, we have a student who lives in Crete. And those 2 births in Indiana are down direction. So she's only 15 minutes away.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So I'm throwing her into that birth right away.
Uh-huh.
And then I have another one on the west, out west. Because what city do you live in?
Elgin.
Oh, you live in Elgin. Yeah, okay. So yeah.
You know, that tornado, I had a tornado go over my house and it destroyed the neighborhood literally right next to mine. I have it on video. It literally went right over my house and then touched down like right next to my neighborhood. Mm-hmm. It was insane.
Did it sound like a freight train?
It was crazy. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. Pretty scary stuff.
Pretty scary stuff. That's something.
I was gonna ask you the one in South Elgin. When is that one?
August 8th.
When do we go for her?
We're going for the 21st, I think.
24th?
21, I think.
Oh, okay.
Let me look. And let me look. Yeah. Crystal and Emmanuel.
Crystal and Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Okay. Did they give you a time yet or no?
Hold on, I'm looking at my calendar. Four o'clock.
Okay, I might have to take that day off.
Well, just you know, that's why we work as teams, right?
Yeah.
You met her on Zoom, right? You met on Zoom.
No, not yet. I haven't met them.
Okay. I invited them to Rachel's picnic and they came because they hadn't met Rachel yet.
Okay.
They only knew Monica.
Okay.
Only met Monica. So, do you work that day?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I work every other Friday, and I think that's the Friday before my weekend off. So I work.
Okay. All right. Well, no problem. The reason why we're doing it as teams is, and she's very flexible. They have a nice size house, so so that'll be okay. So we have. Did you meet Rachel Minter yet?
No.
Okay. Anyways, so she's one of the other students from the first class, and Jessica so far, you know. And then we have a new student here, Tracy, too. She lives out West Chicago.
So she'll be there too?
I might have her there too, so that we have more students for experience.
Okay. So Crystal's okay. Crystal, they're okay with that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. They know.
Okay.
They know, and I'm trying to get as many of you certified, and for you and another one who's a nurse, because you can do birth assistant skills.
Okay.
So Rachel's looking forward to meeting you and getting to know, but with your recovery of your rib, I don't want you doing anything heavy or strenuous. Does it? Until
I'm feeling much better.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Oh, wait, because I've been taking I don't do medication, but I've been taking the muscle relaxer and Norco at night before I go to bed. So the muscle relaxer has really been helping a lot to heal it.
Okay. Yeah, because we want to, we want to make sure that we don't cause any other stuff either.
Yeah.
And there is a a midwifery assistant class going to be starting soon as well. It's independent of mine, but but I want you to be up to snuff.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
So Rachel,
uh-huh,
I want you to meet Sandra. And then I don't know if I can create another room after I created the one, but I want you guys, if I mute myself, you guys can talk. And so what you're doing is you're sharing your story. You're sharing your stories and your bedside manner, what that looks like by your stories. So I'm going to mute this. And so you guys have 10 minutes each to share your story. Oh, she's at work. Just
no, I wanted to close that door.
yeah, no fun. Introduce yourselves and go from there.
Okay. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Sandra.
Hello.
Good to meet
Sorry.
you.
Very nice to meet you. I'm at work, so I'm trying to.
And where
Yeah.
do you?
I work in Lombard at an assisted living.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. Okay. And you're just new joining the doula team, right?
correct. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Cool. I missed some of what she was saying. I feel like some of it skipped out. What is it she just wants us to introduce ourselves at first, and then what does she want us to talk
I
about?
thought you said share our stories, as
Okay.
far as like what we do is something about bedside manner.
Okay. Okay, so I think I know, I'll start because I think I know what she's talking about. But so I'm Rachel, and I did the course last year. I did the doula
Oh,
course,
nice.
and it's been awesome. But when it comes to my story, I guess I have 3 kids and 3 daughters, 9, 7, and 3.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah. And we were missionaries in Africa for years. So one of them was born in Africa, and the other two,
Wow.
one of them grew up in Africa, the other one was born in Africa, and then the last one was born in America, and she's grown up here for 3 years.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And so my story, a lot of the reason I'm even here in this position is I've always loved birth, loved talking about birth, loved going to birth, loved supporting moms, loved supporting, empowering women. And I think a lot of that comes from my own story of having kids, of feeling in my experience with birth is that my mom had 7 natural births, unmedicated, very large children, some small children, but she did an amazing job. So I always looked up to her as what she could do, and how I knew, okay, our bodies were created to do that. I can do that too. And she was a really good example to me for my sister's birth, and at supporting and just being there. And my mom has really good bedside manner. She's a servant heart. And so I think that was a really good example to me. And just teaching me, like, hey, when you serve people, be considerate, be caring, always be asking their needs, what can you do for them, all those things. So I feel like that's a part of my story, is that learning that. But then I'm actually having children, my own kid. It's when you're thrown into that birth world, I felt super, the doctor for my first one was very manipulative, very playing, very, she did not have good bedside manner. And, I feel like you learn good bedside manner sometimes by having people who have bad bedside manner. Cause you're like, oh, this is not how how the medical should be. This is not how a hospital should be. And, she was very unkind. And she even at one point took care of your child. And when I I was pregnant because she was H and I was trying to get her to flip. I was acupuncture, I was doing chiropractic, and I was trying to. Am I skipping out?
Yeah,
I am.
yeah.
Okay, let me switch. I'm gonna get off my Wi-Fi and I'm gonna go on data because I feel like my Wi-Fi here is not so great. Is this better
Okay.
now? Am I skipping as much?
Not as much.
Not as much. Okay, you're skipping too. I'm not sure if it's my data. It says I have 3 bars, so I'm not sure. Okay, well, I'll just try. And if you can't hear me, you can stop me and tell me it's still skipping.
Okay, okay.
So with that process, I feel like I learned, and I ended up the hospital I switched to. It's called Advocate. It's Sherman Hospital in Elgin.
That's, I know exactly. I live right by there.
Yeah, they were really great. They had good bedside
Oh.
manner. The lactation consultants were really sweet. And I felt like, wow, I felt really cared for. And so I
Nice.
appreciate that in a hospital setting after fighting for it and switching my doctors 3 days before my child was born.
Wow.
So it was a really intense situation, but I feel like I learned a lot through it. My second child, it was quite a traumatic situation. I was trying to have a VBAC after the first breech baby. And I tried a home birth. And after 48 hours of labor, I ended up going to the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
They wouldn't classify it as active labor because I wasn't dilated. But after 42 hours of labor, of like contractions every 5 minutes or less, 3 minutes points, I was still only dilated at 1. So she was obviously not getting through. Something was wrong. She kept hitting. She was aligned wrong. She was not in the correct alignment. And so that was quite a traumatic experience. And I remember just last year when we were sharing these stories and I had to start processing them. And I started to have to ask these questions of, am I qualified to be a doula? Can I actually do this? Do I actually believe in myself? Because when you go through a traumatic birthing experience, you're like, oh, should I have done this? Could I have done this? I could have done things differently. And, hindsight is 2020. But it really caused me to reevaluate my experiences, my story, what I've been through. And hey, do I actually have what it takes to be a doula? Can I do this?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a really good journey. It was a really good journey to go on. Interesting question. Oops, sorry, my Siri is listening to me. It was really good. By my third child, I ended up getting my VBAC that I've longed for, and it was a really process, really good situation for me to be able to have her vaginally, so that was good. But yeah, I feel like I don't know how I'm trying to see how I can connect it to bedside manner. But I feel like through these experiences, I witnessed people who were kind and compassionate and had good bedside manner and communicated well. And I also experienced women and men who did not communicate well, who did not have good bedside manner, who did not ask for my consent, people who hid information from me, people who did not empower me. And so I feel it's made me, my experience has made me really just be considerate with people,
Right.
really listen to them, understand their situation that they're going through. Because I wish I had someone like that with my births, because I didn't feel empowered, and my husband tried to help as much as he could, but he didn't understand the birth situations either.
Right.
And my mom helped me when I was in America. She did help me. She was like my little doula, my little last minute doula. And it felt really good with my last one to have someone that was there holding my hand, giving me instruction, telling me I could do it, believing in me. Because if we don't believe in the women who are having these, how can they believe in themselves?
Right.
And that is one of our biggest things that I had to go through was like, oh my gosh, do I actually think that they can do it? Do I actually think that women can do this? Yep. And I absolutely do, because I got to go through what you're going through now. of having to process your story, process these things that have happened so that you can be healed and whole. And so that I
Mhm.
still, I mean, there's layers, it's always layers. So that I can be the best support for other women.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know. I have
Yeah.
it's I was very traumatized with my first child. My daughter, both my kids are 29. My daughter be 30 in August. They're 10 months apart.
Oh, wow.
My daughter, I was married at 18. I had my daughter at 19, and she was going to be my only birth because I had such a traumatic experience in the hospital. I went to the hospital right away. I barely had contractions. I asked my mom, I don't know, I'm feeling kind of funny. Let's go to the hospital. And it was terrible. It was, they hook you up to an IV. They wouldn't let me get up from the bed at
Yeah.
all. Once I got into really active labor, she kept coming in wanting to give me an epidural. I kept telling her no. She kept coming in, it's okay, honey, you can have the epidural. But my mom kept telling me, don't get the epidural. So I kept telling her, no, I don't want the epidural. But I was in so much pain that I would sometimes kind of maybe scream out in pain. The doctor would come in and she would tell me that if I was not quiet, she was going to ask my mom and my husband to leave the room and I was going to give birth alone. So I
Oh,
felt so just, I, it was so overwhelming. I was young. My mom was there, but my mom, she saw me in a lot of pain, crying, really didn't know how to comfort me. And I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink anything. I was exhausted. It was just horrible. And when I actually went to give birth to my daughter, I couldn't breathe. They had to put me on oxygen because they had me laying on my back and my legs up in stirrups. So I could barely get up to push her out. And it was so traumatic. So then when my daughter was born, I didn't see my daughter for the first 4 hours of her birth.
oh,
Because
wow.
because when they were stitching me up, I was so exhausted that I fell asleep.
Yeah, you
And
slept. Yeah.
it was horrible. So when I woke up, I think I had been sleeping for like 3 or 4 hours and I didn't get to see her. I didn't get to hold her. I didn't get to anything. And then my body started shaking uncontrollably. So I really couldn't hold her. I couldn't try to breastfeed her. Worst experience ever. Like I was so traumatized. And so when I found out 2 months later I was pregnant with my son, I was so depressed. I was crying. I was like, I don't ever want to go through that again. Because I told my husband, I will never give birth again. She'll be the only child. So with those two traumatic births, I got my tubes tied at 21. I got my tubes tied at 21. And
Wow.
yeah, I was, you know, after that, it's weird because I always wanted a home birth, but I just at the time I didn't know how to even go about having a home birth. I was so young, and so I was there when my sister-in-law gave birth. When my sister gave birth, I was there throughout her whole entire. I was massaging her. It was just all about my sister the entire time she was in labor, and and I was there. I was able to deliver a child too when I was in nursing school. I was in my mother baby class, and
Oh,
uh,
wow.
yeah, it was in my OB class, and the girl was 15. So that was the most exciting thing I had ever.
Oh my good.
Could so. Oh, here we go.
So I have a real
Thanks for listening to that.
I have a
Hey.
real quick question.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing on your sharing your stories? Where are you at? Everybody get a turn yet or no?
We've it's been more of like a conversation. So
Okay.
is there anything that you guys want to still talk about?
Um, no, I think we're all kind of just
Right.
sharing. Yeah,
Okay.
good.
Okay, so I'll bring you out of we'll come on out of the breakout rooms. And then we'll come back as a group.
Okay.
Okay.
It's always been big. It's always been a big thing for me.
Mm.
So
Yes.
Um,
Are you a CNA or RNA or
I'm an RN.
RN? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. And I've
And
been doing this for about 16 years.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Like you've already got to be a doula. That's so fun.
Right? I know. I think it's pretty awesome. So when Jessica, I saw her at a family party. Her husband and my husband are cousins. So when I
Oh, okay.
yeah, Jessica.
Jessica's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sorry, my daughter
yes,
just came in the room. Are
that's
you
okay.
okay? What is that?
My bike.
Oh, you fell off your bike.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
I just put myself on mute and you can keep talking
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna listen while I help her. Okay.
Okay,
Go
guys.
go ahead.
Oh, maybe not.
All right, so on your emotional side, when you're interacting and you look into each other's eyes, do you love them more? If they called you for help, would you go?
Absolutely.
So when we meet the moms and the babies that are entrusted in us, they've been divinely called for you. And if we can come with that sincere energy, then half the battle's done. So, Rachel, would you share a little bit? You were new to the community, and I said, can you come to this birth? Are you there, Rach? Did you freeze?
Sorry,
Wait, which Rachel?
my daughter just came in and she fell off her bike, so I'm trying to fix her up right now.
Okay, no, I meant Rachel V. So Rachel V.
Okay, good. All right, good. I'm gonna go.
Okay.
I'm gonna hide away then.
Okay, Rachel
Yeah,
V.
that was really cool because it was like you posted in the chat, and I think I'd only been in that chat for like a couple of weeks at that point. You just
Right.
posted that there was a mom that like needed some doulas who was in like some financial crisis too. And I was sitting on the couch. I had had no training at that point besides what I had done on my own, and then with my friend. And I looked at him and I was like, I feel like I should just do this. Like somebody kind of needs this, and I feel like I could, and I was really concerned because I didn't really know if I could do it or not, but I just felt like it was the right thing to do. And it was an outstanding experience. It was amazing. So yeah, you really know like when that client is right for you.
Right. One of the things too, so I go to the births, right? I go to the births. And so the midwives and I were in a separate room because Rachel just let her instinctual bedside manner show up. And she just made the mom feel comfortable. I didn't have to instruct her on that. She and Jessica just came together as a unit to serve this mom. And we didn't stay in the room. We could listen to the mom of where she was at in her labor, but they handled it. So I prefer to put you guys into a burst sooner than later because I know you're going to do it because you've been doing it. The natural part of bedside manner is just the things you've been doing for your kids, for your family members, what you would do for another human being if they were uncomfortable. And then the rest is just skill sets that we add on to. And it isn't somebody's better than me or not. It's you've been given that God-given gift. And I don't have to be worried about that because you've done it. So the two of you talking in the room and the three of you talking in the room, right? Just that little bit of getting to know each other. There's compassion. Love starts to show up. Plain and simple, love starts to show up. So, so Sandra, meet Tracy.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi.
So, so for Friday, I'm inviting you to a prenatal on Friday with us, if you're available,
Okay, yeah.
for 4 o'clock. And Rachel, Minter, she's on here too. So Rachel Minter is also come. Now, this client got her 3 kids. They're a little bit older. And she has her 2 nieces coming. And Rachel Harris, the midwife, referred her to us for doula services. So, Jessica and Rachel and you and Sandra will be the team that we come with for that possible birth. Now, how I teach is that we come in teams. We present ourselves as a team. So, for example, if Sandra has to work and can't get off, we have backup, right? If somebody's sick or they can't get childcare or whatever, we back each other up. But if we don't present ourselves as a team, then we're at a disadvantage, especially if it's a long birth.
Mhm.
We've had some long births, and everybody takes a turn taking a nap. Or if you didn't eat, you go eat. We make sure dad is rested. So all of these things we're observing, we're figuring out the strategies, we're pacing ourselves. We're doing a lot of self-care before we ever get there, but we're also doing self-care while we're there. That way, the whole team is fresh. And if something shows up unexpectedly or whatever, different gradients of experience, we have that variety, and people can pitch in wherever they have skill sets. So the reason I have the CPR and the NRP, and Christine took the NRP just the other day. Christine, you want to share a little bit about how that went, neonatal resuscitation?
Sure. Actually I did it with Sandra was there. And
Hi.
hey. Yeah, it was really good. I went in really intimidated because I mean, I was a teacher and mom, I did not do anything medical. To the fact that when my midwife was telling me I should really consider doing this, I was like, yeah, no, science and math isn't my thing. So I mean, that's how much I'm distanced from the medical part. So I went in really intimidated, but she really broke it down very well. And I actually did it the opposite way than you were supposed to do it. You were supposed to study, I guess, like take your test first and then go to the class. But it didn't work like that. And I'm thankful God had it that it didn't work out for me to be able to take that test first and that I was able to do it in person, because for my learning style, going there and learning first, like doing it in hand and visualizing and listening to even like the terms and knowing, okay, it's not just like called spina bifida, and
Right.
I can't pronounce the word myself, but I can read it and I remember her saying it. So I was able to do the test and feel good even when I was using like how you were helping me to like talking to you before I took the test, like to calm down. I was like, okay, I can do this. But it helped a lot. And she broke it down and did all these scenarios, and we'd have to break down scenarios of like real life at the end. But in the beginning, it was first like knowing each piece and learning how to do like a good suction on their face. And it was just a little piece. You'd stop and then she'd talk and then she'd have you do. So she did a lot of like, I do, we do, you do. And then she'd keep breaking it up in these segments. So it was broken up into about 4 different segments, but it was fantastic. Like I feel much more confident. Like if I was asked to go and help and resuscitate a baby, I wouldn't feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything. I didn't learn anything from the class. I feel that yes, I mean, I think everybody would need to keep practicing this skill. I don't think it's something that you just get and know. I think it's important to keep practicing personally from that experience, but if I was there, I would feel confident that I would be able to help, and someone more experienced, I can at least help and understand. And just keep trying to remember like that all the Mr. Sopas. What about you, Sandra?
I feel the same. I think the scenarios helped a lot. And like you, I didn't take the test first. I just went in not knowing absolutely what the class was going to
Right.
entail. So when I did take the test, took me quite a bit to finish that test. But I learned a lot taking that test, just reading the questions, knowing the answers. I learned a lot taking the test as well. But the class was very informative, very just hands-on. And I really, truly love the class.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there,
Even just, yep. Oh, I'm sorry.
Lisa's a midwife. And so she teaches neonatal resuscitation. There's another girl named Karen Strange who has a video series that I shared with the last class. And even getting exposure to what that looks like to do a neonatal resuscitation, because there's fluid in the lungs, right? CPR is there's oxygen in your lungs. You might be drowning, but there's oxygen in your lungs. And there are two different thought processes. And there's different experiences going on with baby. So the reason why I request CPR and the NRP classes is because we're doing so many home births. You can do a hospital birth, everybody else is, taking over. But you're a better asset if you have some knowledge base. And this is unique to the training I do because I've been doing this with my daughters. I've been doing it 43 years. And my daughter being a midwife and not being here anymore. And choosing to be an asset to the midwifery and the birthing community and the knowledge base. If something goes awry and you're the first person at the birth, you might catch it one point or a time. And what's that look like? And how can I prepare you that you're an asset, not freaking out, right? That we deal with our own wounds and trauma before we ever go, and we do self-care before we ever go into a birth situation. Because your story is your strengths. They're your assets. That's why somebody wants you. But we've been told the opposite. I have to be qualified. No, you already are. You just said yes. You'll show up if somebody asks for help. You'll get that person to the next step, whether it's call 911 or whatever. I have 100% confidence that every single one of you will respond, just like when I called Rachel or posted it and she said yes. She'd never been to a birth before. But her instincts kicked in. Your instincts, I guarantee, are going to kick in. You're going to remember your own labor experiences and the discomfort and go, oh yeah, I remember that. I don't want that
For them, yeah.
for them. And you're going to want to find something that's going to comfort them. Right? And it's just going to show up. So the beauty of why I teach the way I teach is because it's real. Plain and simple. Real people, real situations, real life. And Rachel Minter was with us on a very long birth. And so having the teams rotate, taking naps or whatever, makes a difference. Because no one goes home like a rag doll. Because none of us are functional and we're not doing anybody any favors. So I'm glad you guys got to the NRP class. because they don't happen very often. So at the beginning, watching Karen Strange's videos, which is about 120, they were $180 and she's got them at $120 now. So when you get them, you can watch them for like 5 months or something like that. So it's good, but they're great videos. Just like Christine was saying, Lisa, who that was my daughter's mentor as a midwife. She created the Amish community clinic where the Amish came and my daughter delivered 96 babies in 6 months with her through the clinic. So, and they would do home births and hospital births, whatever. But with the Amish, they don't have cars. They don't have quote unquote all the bells and whistles. They may or may not show up for a prenatal appointment. You may or may not know they're pregnant until they get the call. So that's as plain as it can get. And there's another reason why knowing more is best. At least you know what to grab. Somebody says, get me the Doula or get me the clamps or whatever, you know where it's going. And so when we do a prenatal visit, which we'll be doing on Friday with so we go through the birth box. We explain what everything is in the birth box and why it's there and what we're using it for. We lay it all out. We make sure that the hose and the proper adapter is available and that they've tested it to make sure it fits the faucet to fill up the tub. We make sure that they filled up the tub with air and kept it up a little while to make sure that there's no leaks in the tub and get it all prepared. So when it's the right time for mom to get into the tub, it's ready. We have turned up the hot water heater. And did you do that, Christine? Did you use the tub for yours?
Yeah, I did. Well, yeah, mine was like literally like delivered in the tub. I didn't get to like labor in the tub, but yeah.
Oh, so you stepped in and delivered and got out again.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It wasn't ideal, but it's just I progressed faster than they expected, and so they couldn't fill the tub up fast enough. And then there was issues with like the assistant trying to like get the hose like stuck on, like because she was panicking because I was laboring so fast. Like she knew she wasn't gonna make it. Like she was trying so hard, but yeah, it was horrible. And then she had it too hot, then it was too cold, and I was like, oh, I thought I was gonna deliver on the toilet, honestly. So
who was with you at that birth?
I'm sorry, for that birth, Rachel wasn't for me. I had Monica.
Yeah, Monica. Who came with Monica?
I had for her assistant, she's almost a midwife. It was Emily.
Was it Emily? Oh, okay. Yeah.
And she was the one who was like, and she used to be a nurse.
Right.
And I felt, yeah, she's very sweet. But yeah, when she was coming in and trying, I felt like in my labor, it felt to me like it was a bull in a china shop, and it stressed me out.
Right.
And she didn't do anything wrong. Nothing wrong. It was just being in labor and knowing I wanted to have this water birth. I wanted to labor in a tub, and I knew I was laboring fast, and she's trying her best to like hurry up with the hose. And because she knew I was laboring so fast, and she was trying so hard to let me accomplish like that I would have this water birth, which I just really appreciate, but in her own panic. So then in my head, I'm thinking, what is wrong? Like, why is she not? So it really distracts you in your moment of labor. So I learned experience from it, but like she did nothing wrong. She was fabulous. She's the sweetest lady.
So you did not test your adapter or your hose?
Oh, I did. It fit. It was just her panicking.
Okay.
Rush. Yeah.
So the other thing is, once you get that adapter in, I tell people leave the adapter in.
Okay, thank you. So I actually had this discussion before, like, because I had to be induced.
Right.
They had to break my water. So my home birth was a little different than the standard. And so that was my whole thinking, like, okay, as much as I'm a red, I'm also a green. Like I'm a planner. I like to have things prepared.
You got the green side going.
Yes, so I'm a mix of that. So to me, yeah, like when you like leave it on or put it here, like I said, hey, put it on my sink in my bathroom because it's a less amount of room. So when the pressure comes, it won't. Well, she didn't like that idea, Emily. She was like, no, 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 no. We're putting it. I was like, she didn't want it set up because she's saying because I'd be going past like the hose with trying to like when you go to the bathroom when you're in labor. So that was the whole thing, but it was okay.
So, lesson learned, right?
Mhm.
Lesson learned. And so,
It is because you don't realize that a small disruption as simple as putting a hose and a hose slipping off she wanted to use the shower head and that hose slipping off the adapter.
mhm,
And you wouldn't realize that when you're in labor that it disrupts you.
yep,
Your brain is shifting like, and I felt like, wait, what's going on? But yeah,
right.
it's silly things that we can help and make sure it's smooth. And even when we have the best intentions, sometimes things don't go right, and that's okay.
So I put that responsibility onto the family with the adapter and the hose. That's the dad's responsibility to verify that that thing is good to go.
See, and I can say I didn't have my husband at my birth. My husband
Okay.
actually was out of town.
Oh, okay. That's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. So I literally only had my midwifery team and my doula. So yeah.
Yeah.
But they were awesome. So
And how many children do you have?
6.
And were they all in the house with the birth?
Yeah, they actually were. Yep.
So who was the supervision for the kids?
My mom came.
Okay.
Yep, because my concern was my 4-year-old. Because
Yeah.
she's very worries about me and what I'm doing. So I knew she would be. And you know what? Lo and behold, after I had the baby, she still woke up at like 5 in the morning, want to see what's going on. And I already had the baby, but she was able, my mom was passed out asleep because
Right.
everything it was too fast to even like let my mom know to come in for the birth. But yeah, she instinctively still knew to like get up and check and see how mom is. So I knew I needed with her besides my teenagers.
Yeah, it's a big deal but this is the reason why we go in, we talked about it with the client the other day. And if they have the tub, I want them to pre-fill it with air.
Mhm.
Make sure it fits the room that they're thinking.
Yeah, and make sure your liner fits. Like we had mine all filled up, but then my liner didn't fit. So that was like I was like, oh my gosh, my liner. But thankfully, like we did this all the time. So the midwives just switched out the tub, and then my husband was able to have it all filled up before he left. But those things matter to do ahead of time. They really do, like you said, because
Yeah, these are real practical, but at the time, we don't need to be going over those things. Let's save our energy for something worthwhile, but that's not.
you don't, no one wants like extra stress added.
No.
Because even though you're at home and you really are more relaxed at home and your client's going to feel relaxed, but you're still going to feel and you know what, even for me, like having this, like wanting to have a water birth, it's something that's important to that person giving birth. So if that's part of their birth plan, it's important to them. And so if say they don't have it how they envisioned, that can be like a huge disappointment for them for this birth that they envisioned. And we want to try to help them as best as we can.
Yeah. And all of that, ultimately, you still had a good experience.
Oh, yeah, I loved my experience. I'm thankful at least I was able to give birth in the water.
Yeah.
I barely made it. Like I was at that point where you feel like you can't move anymore.
Yeah.
Like I knew. But my midwife, and she was like, you can do this. Let's go. She helped me to be able to get in, and she knew it. But that's part of that communication. She knew that having a water birth was important to me.
Yeah.
And the doula, they explained after, they're like, you can't get in that tub when it's too cold or too hot. It's not good for you. It's not good for the baby. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But
yeah,
it all worked out. Yeah. it works out. But
Does
I
work.
think it's important to have that your birth team to understand, to know what is important to that mother. And
Yeah.
I'm sure even for their partners as well.
Right.
Because that makes it a lot seamless. Because like I said, I really felt when I, got off the toilet and we're walking that small space from my toilet to where my tub was, it was hard to walk. I was literally ready to, that fetal ejaculation is no joke.
Yeah.
So it's not a joke at all. And so I felt it and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I can't walk again once I was like almost right there. But I needed that with my midwife for Monica to be like, oh no, you can do this, you can get in, you just have to do this one more step, you can get in, you're gonna deliver. And it worked out. But
That's something. Rachel Minter, can you talk? Are you available? I don't know if she's there. So, Rach, can you hear me? Anyways, so Rachel had done a number of births solo, and they were pretty easy births. And then, and I had talked about presenting ourselves as a team. And the transition of not, having, backups and not presenting yourself there can kind of put you in a corner. Then you wonder, how can I introduce somebody new if I never mention it up front? And then I had invited Rachel to a birth that we had.
Sorry, Carol, I'm here. I'm having technical difficulty.
Okay, so, but you can talk or no?
I can. I'm pushing buttons on my screen and I feel like I'm 80 years old because I'm pushing all the wrong buttons.
That's okay. So I wanted you to share when you started doing birth solo.
Yes.
And then we went and did Mariah's. Is that how you?
Mireya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mariah's birth. And what was the difference for you? What was some of the aha moments we had with that birth?
Well, I think I got lucky with my first few births that I had done. They were quick. One of them was a precipital. Do you say precipital? Precipitous. Yeah. Precipital labor. So it was quick. It was a learning experience. Okay, there, I got my video. It was definitely a learning experience because the midwife was so hands off that I was not used to that. But by the time, and I basically was a midwife assistant for both of those births because I was with that midwife and she didn't have anyone else. It was just us and the mom and dad. And so that was really fun. I really enjoyed kind of that independence, but I also had those fears of like, oh no, what if I get tired? What if this lasts forever? What if sorry, I'm trying to think of the what ifs. What if I can't make it? What if something happens? And so I was like, man, this is rough doing it alone because there's just a lot more, you have to be really tight with yourself. There's not like areas for you to have a team to support you and cover you. And so, are you asking like the difference between the two for me?
Yeah, the difference between the two, but with that one birth that was precipitous, what was the timeline between you showing up and the midwife showing up and baby?
Well, for that one, I was with her for about 2 hours. And then for the other one, so I was with her for 2 hours and then the midwife showed up. And if you can't check the cervix and you can't, it was my first time. So I didn't know exactly how far along she was. I'm still learning how to observe the signs, how to observe transition. And she was doing so great. I didn't know she was actually that far along. But then the midwife showed up about maybe 30 minutes before the baby came. So I was really grateful that she did show up. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have known what to do. The baby was partial, uh what do they call it when when the water sac is over the baby's head? It wasn't the whole body, it was just over the head. Um anyway, it was interesting. But then a different birth, I think my second or third birth, um the midwife showed up like 15 minutes before. And I did not know the mom was that far along. I was with the mom for a few hours but I was with her earlier in the day, and because she was having kind of like prodromal labor. And then um and then I went home, took a nap, took a shower, did all the stuff to get ready for when she called me again. And then I was with her for a few hours, and then the midwife hit a bunch of traffic and she couldn't get there. She was in Rockford. And so yeah, she was actually still wearing her Depends. She was wearing her diapers. And then we cut them off to see that the baby was like crowning. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was like, this is my second birth. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I didn't know she was this far along. I should have taken this diaper off a long time ago. And so I was very alone. I didn't know what to do. Midwife didn't come. It was just me, the mom, and her. And so I definitely could have used Carol with me there for that one, and some of the team to support me.
And then we had Maria and we had Egypt.
Mm. Yeah, and I had a few other ones in between as well, but I did Mireia in Egypt with you. And that was so important though, because Mireia was 24 hours. I mean, it was so long. There's no way that a single doula can do that alone. And of course we had the team. We had Emily there, and we had Rachel ended up coming, and
Yeah, Colleen had to leave.
Colleen.
Yep.
So we had all of them, but it was really helpful for us to be able to do our thing, and they assisted when they needed to.
And they could do theirs. Now, the
Yes.
interesting part about this was, in that situation, the grandma was fluent Spanish, and Jessica is fluent Spanish. But when we transported, Rachel and I, we were in discussion, Rachel Harris, the midwife, we were in discussion. How can we best serve this mom? And even though Jessica had never done a hospital support as a doula yet, because she spoke Spanish, we sent her, but I was still in the building. So she knew there was a lifeline. And then that let Rachel go home, the other Rachel go home, all the other people went home, but the dad, the birthing mom, the grandma, and myself and Jessica went with that client. Now, if it had only been the midwives without a doula, Rachel would have gone, but she has a nursing baby. So by having a team effort, we took naps sleeping, we took naps and rotated in helping the mom during her labor. She did a fantastic job. It was all position. This position right here is where the little head was. And that head was not moving. It wasn't coming out. No way, no how. So she ended up, turns out, there's a doctor named Dr. Dobby. So with my home birth way back when, 82, he was at Hinsdale and he used to do home births. And he had stopped in 82. But he was down at Christ Hospital. Of all the doctors for us to get, and he was so honoring and so respectful of their wishes. She ended up with a C-section, but because of the consistency of the team, their experience, when they talk to us, is very positive. But if it was one person, we couldn't do it. And we can't expect people to be superhuman. So yeah. And then with the other mom, her name is Egypt. She's a single mom and had no family here. And had no support system. So there was Rachel Minter, there was Jessica, myself, Shannon, she's another student doula from a different organization, Dona. Myself, we were all there, and then the birth team. Emily, Rachel, another person. And it was like an all-girls sleepover. And she loved it. Because that's what she wanted. And her 10-year-old caught that baby.
Oh,
So, but it was custom for that one. Right? So each time, if we really listen with the trueness, if we know their yearnings, we have their communication styles, we're delivering. At the prenatal we just did the other day, the dad is a green, a strong green, the mom is yellow. She's like, oh, I'm having this home birth. Everything's working out roses for her as we're doing it. And the dad is like, give me the details, you know? But it made him feel safe because we did that. If we didn't know, and we were only going off of, oh, my lovey-dovey moments, without giving him, this is what we do and this is how we do it. You give him actual directions and structure. He would still be scared. His yearning was to feel safe. So these things are golden. I don't care where you're at, who you're with, these things are golden. When your kids start acting up, you'll know why. Because their yearning is, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want to be loved, I want to be hugged, whatever. And it saves you so much heartache. So in the class for today, it is all about your bedside manner. With last week's class and this week's class, and putting you into a prenatal, getting you lined up, you have what you need to get you to those points. The rest of the stuff inspires you to learn more. To find out, how can I make her feel better? Does she need to lay on her left side? Does she need to lay on her right? And so Marilyn went with us to do 2 prenatals. And what were some of the things you observed us doing at the prenatal?
I found it was really exciting to see how their faces lit up when you kind of explain different positions that they could try.
Can you hear her okay or no?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
When you explain different positions, like the one where they could both lay in bed and almost nap, but still like with dad with his feet, like both couples were like, oh yeah, this is great. Like it was just in, like you said, the first dad where you were explaining what this and this was, he was like, oh, okay, yeah. Because I didn't know what that was, and he was like, he looked really excited. Like it was great.
It anchored him.
Yes. Yeah.
And he even said, I have some tools now that I can do.
Yeah.
And mom did too. You know, you have the vision, I want a home birth, but then there's some things.
It's like, well, how does this work? And how does that work? Well, what's gonna happen during this time?
Right. So we did the different, we do a tour through the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedrooms, and we use different techniques. Sitting forward on the toilet, putting the pillows on top of the toilet tank so that mom can pee whenever she wants, but we have full access to her back to give her a massage, hip pressure, back pressure. So Christine, like you were saying, you're sitting on the toilet. Were you facing forward or backwards?
you know what? At that point, I was forward, and then before then, my doula was behind me, and
Yep.
she was doing the pressure points.
Yeah.
And then she had me move positions and go to the toilet and sit forward. But the reason I think why she had me in front, like had me sitting forward and looking at her, was, again, she was trying to help me get better in my mental space because like I said, I wanted this water birth, and then I'm seeing, you know, she's struggling with the hose, and me, even though I know I'm like, you know, contraction, nonstop, back to back, I'm wanting to go and grab that darn hose and just get it done myself and get it going. Like
Right.
that's where I felt like, but then you also know that when you're in labor, you're helpless too. Like you have this vulnerability because you know, guess what? I want to go and grab that hose and take it and just handle this myself. But when you're in labor, we need to have that support. And I couldn't. I physically would not have been able to grab that hose. It would have taken me forever. Like, but she needed, and I think she recognized that I needed her to take me into that bathroom, sit forward, talk to me. And I went, you know, and it was okay. She just talked to me and talked about breathing, and I don't think I was there that long, honestly. Like sitting at that toilet, I wasn't there very long. So it just, yeah.
Did
She
you
just
have
needed,
any concerns of baby falling into the toilet?
yeah, I was worried.
Okay, so what I teach is I put a chucks between the tank and the toilet seat.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea
Because,
because I was worried.
yeah. So one of the things that I teach the students to do is put that in between, because you can still pee, you can still poop, whatever. But if that baby slips out, that's going to catch, at least put a slowness to it. And if it's in there properly, the head is not going to touch the water.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a tip, just so you know. So if you're taking mom at the later stage of her labor, because the position is really good for labor, right?
Yeah, and it feels really good. Like
Yeah.
it really feels really good, as silly as it sounds to sit on that toilet when you're laboring. It really does. Like it helps everything. But yeah, the chucks pad I think is a need and what everyone should do, because I was worried about this. Like I was worried I was going to have a baby on the toilet, and I almost did. So and if I would have known about putting a chucks pad in between, I would have done that myself in my whole like having everything planned and
right.
So I didn't know that. And yeah, and I would have think that the midwife I had, Monica, probably would have done that too, but because I progressed so fast all of a sudden, I think there was no time for that, honestly. And even for my doula to even think to do that, because everything happened just so fast.
Right.
And her putting me over there was just like trying to get me away, you know? So, yeah.
So one of the things that one of the birth clients did, she went to a camp out, RV campground kind of a store, and she got the toilet seat that's on a tripod. And she thought maybe she might use that, for pushing or delivering. And I thought, that's a sweet idea. I'm going to add that to my toolbox, right? Because our squatty potty you can use as a birthing stool. Squatty potties are great for the toilet to raise the legs so the pelvis is set properly. So all of those things are my people used to say to my daughter, why do you have so much stuff in the car? Well, because you have all these tools in which you can use them. So anyways, yeah. So what was some of the best learning moments from your conversations with each other? What did you glean from that person? What did you like about that person in your group? Christine, you had the three of you.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you pick up?
I really liked one of the moms. I think she's still here. I can't remember her name. It wasn't Rachel. But she just had her baby. And we were talking about like with Pitocin and how I was like, yeah, that hurts like worse than natural birth. Like it's no joke. But even just her acknowledging, like she was like, because I was explaining to her, for me having a home birth, no pain meds, everything, that I felt that it was, yes, you feel a little pain, but it wasn't intense. And I think a lot of that again is being at home and being comfortable with my team. I was, you know, I guess I also knew you're going to be in pain. I guess that knowing you're going to be in pain and having that cramping, so you're prepared for the pain, so it probably doesn't feel as bad. Also, I think that pressure points from the doula positioning plays a huge role in your pain and having less pain, I should say, not having pain. So she was acknowledging like pain, it hurts, like, and I was like, yes, but I think it's important having like tools, positioning, understanding. Like for me, I worry because I am a super quiet person in labor. So when I'm having the contractions, I want to focus on my breathing and just going through that, knowing it's a wave and it's going to go over, but I'm going to be progressing. So I was explaining, like, to me, it's like a big mental game.
Yeah.
And so understanding that, but I think as serving with our clients and having that discussion, and then Rachel was able to comment that she also felt like that learning about birthing and how important it was, even with her own experience that she just recently had with understanding, one moment, the importance of, you know, with moaning and her husband with her in being able to verbalize. And we were talking about even just understanding that your mouth, you know, making sure your mouth is open, not letting it be closed and not being tense. And that role that we play as birth workers is, one moment, sorry.
Mama, got more nuggets.
Okay, yes, Dad. That importance is that we're able to help them, especially I feel if we're in the home birth, but in the hospital too, we'll be able to help them from our own knowledge, experience to have this be this wonderful experience and even just minimizing pain and lowering your labor time, because that helps with exhaustion.
Yeah. Cassie, can you share?
I really like both of them, Rachel and Christine. They were both telling me about their experience about their home birth, and I never had one, so I always ask questions about how like they liked it, and I really liked, you know, both their experience. So I said to myself that when I have my next baby, I'm gonna have a home birth.
Yeah. And Cassie, you didn't have support with your last, so
Last door? No, this is the first time I ever had support.
so what was it like for you having us be there?
Oh, you guys are great. I mean, I wish Jessica was there, but at least Shannon and you were there. So I liked it. Like I had like Shannon like massage me and it was feeling so good. Like it was like the way she did it like made my contractions like go faster and like stop, you know, like I don't know, it felt really good to, you know, have that connection, knowing that someone was there for me, and you know, it felt great.
Yeah. So we're trying to go from pain to pleasure. So you guys share your experience with each other. You didn't know each other. You walked in the door. Now you know each other a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, okay, so share a little bit for the girls.
Yeah, one thing, I think we just kind of connected on the fact that like we both have had our horror stories in when it came to labor and delivery, and I had a really great experience with my first child. I was pregnant early in life and didn't really have anyone around me, but I had found a doula partnership with the Y. So I was grateful. So we kind of connected that we both knew that from an early age, even in our own births, that we both just really wanted to do this. It was just something that we just kind of learned about ourselves early on, and now feeling like
You found a home.
I found a home. Yeah,
you found a home.
exactly. Yeah, we were both talking about how our ride here, we were like grinning ear to ear. So excited that we were coming. Yeah, I don't know, it's really nice.
Partners that are like,
Hurry up, just go. We know this is what you want to do. Get out, go, you know.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. And it's even more exciting to say, okay, I'm going into a birth before I quote unquote certified, because your best learning is at the birth.
Yeah, it's
Not
exciting.
in the classroom. The rest will come because you learn so much more. you know, so I'm really excited. Okay, so for you, how was your experience getting to know her?
It's great. There's a lot of stuff we connected with. Like she said, with her having a child early, me was help being in the delivery room with my godson, my best friend at 19. So yeah.
Of early experience. So this this family, that is for Friday, that we're doing the prenatal with, I think one of her nieces is 19, the other one's 21. I think they're both in college. So I was talking to her while you guys were in breakout, and I'm giving her a heads up who's coming and just confirming and that. And I said, what did you decide on the girls? And she said, my nieces, I've invited them. And I said, I'm proud of you, because there's that place where you can, I said, you realize we talked at Rachel's picnic. Rachel Harris had a picnic last weekend, and we talked. I said, there's a time and a place for you to transition to teach. You are the patient, you are the laboring mom, but you are also taking the teaching role. And she agreed that she felt that they would benefit. Obviously, I agree with that. Been doing this for too many years not to agree with it. And so yeah. So I'm thrilled with you guys, all of you. So in the back office, I sent you all the link to for reading the books. Now, the reason I have chosen these books, oops, excuse me. This is emergency childbirth book. The PDF is in the back under, I think it's in class 3, but I want everybody to read emergency childbirth. This is the book they use for 911. It's by Dr. Gregory White. So in the back, it's not very big. He has some little graphics. He has tiny little graphics in there. So this is if there's a cord prelapse, wanting to get the mom down on her chest so that the cord will come back in. Warm compress, wet compress on the bottom, or if she's in the tub, get her down. Christine, did you have a prolapse? No. Unmute.
Okay, there, sorry. I did. So mine happened where mine was different. It was because Monica had to break my water because I had really high blood pressure. So to ensure I can have a home birth and for my safety and the baby. So she had to break my water, and as she broke it, then I guess the baby was still high. And so when she came, and I think that's part of having lots of kids, you know, your body waits to drop the baby. Well, my baby head was dropping. Well, her cord came down first too. And I was laying there and I'm thinking, this is weird. This is the first time I ever had somebody break my water. And I was like, oh, it didn't hurt when she broke it. Normally it hurts when I've had my water bag broken because they're like digging in you to like break it. And so I was like, oh, this is weird. Like it didn't hurt. And she's like, okay. And then I see her face and she's like, keeps going like all around me. And I'm like, what is she doing? And I'm thinking, this is really weird. I've never had this. And then I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, this is taking a long time. Something's not right. And then she noticed like I'm looking at her, I'm staying calm. And she looks at me and she is like, I feel, and you can see she's trying to stay like calm, but you see the panic in her face.
Right.
And so I was like, okay. And all I could say, and I just said, okay. And she's like, hold on. And she's still trying and she's going around. And so I'm like, okay, all I can do is just lay here calm and just pray. And I trust her. Right. I trust God. Like this was I really felt, I personally felt like God wanted me to have a home birth and have this experience. So I trusted God, I trusted Monica, and I was like, all I can do is just pray and just stay in trust. And it was hard seeing her like panic, and even the midwife assistant, because
Emily,
not supposed to feel a cord. And she's still going around, and then she's like, okay, maybe it was probably just an ear. It wasn't an ear, it really was the cord.
Yeah.
But she didn't want me to panic. But then I knew I've had a lot of kids.
Right.
And so once she was able to get the cord back up and we were safe, well, hoping we were safe,
Right.
she had to keep checking the baby's heart rate right away.
Right.
So we had to keep monitoring that. And so once she knew, okay, everything was doing good. But even when I delivered, the cord was right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the importance of having, our great midwife team.
Yeah, absolutely. And so thanks for sharing that, because most things are preventable and we do try our best, but there are things that do come up.
Yeah, and Monica told me she's never had like how mine was in that experience. And what she shared with me was that you learn a lot literally on the job.
You do.
She said you cannot be prepared for these kind of situations. It's on the job. But if I was in the hospital, I don't think I would have had this great experience. I think I might not even have a little baby here, honestly, because normally they've broken my water and didn't check.
Right. So anyways, I know they're really good. And so my daughter also trained Monica, and she also delivered Monica's kid. So, except for the last one, because she didn't make it. So this book is called The Guide to Midwifery, Hearts and Hands by Elizabeth Davis. You get them on eBay. They're like $6, or you find a used copy. Don't buy a brand new copy. The reason I want you guys to read these books, this is the training manual way back when to become a midwife. The reason I want you to know the information is to understand and be able to assist if something goes awry. And if we're doulas, know when that pregnancy has gone out of scope of normalcy and what we can do about it. If we don't have any exposure, we don't know what we don't know. And so even though we're not becoming midwives, but we are going to be called at some point to be an assistant to the capacity that we know what we know. So this one I have listed in the back. This one is called Special Delivery. That's the same. It's the same sort of thing. It's just a different author. This one is Rahima Baldwin, and she's amazing. And the reason these are also recommended because they're simple books. We're not going heavy into the medical type communication, but they're layered learning. We will eventually, talk about placentas, but they're explained in here. So when you see a placenta, you're going to actually experience a placenta and what that looks like, how to know. If we notice by observing, we're always observing. If we notice that the placenta is not complete and nobody else catches it, we get to catch it by advising the mom or advising the birth team, depending on the situation, right? So these are layered learnings. So I recommend, and I have it listed in the back, how many chapters to read. And they're not big and they're not hard chapters, but to read them. And what we don't understand, circle it, and we're going to go over it. So there's different books for different reasons. This one is a birth partner from Penny Simpkins. And this is all about different labor techniques, position of baby, what goes on if the position is indifferent, if it's posterior, what to do for that, if it's the anterior, what to do for that, and leg compressions, back pressures. All these are the skills, and they're in theory until we actually get somebody to work on. So if we have somebody to work on and we get to practice some of these skills, and as a group, we're learning these together, and then we debrief, like Christine was saying, some of the things that was beneficial, and Cassie was saying some of the things that were beneficial. When we debrief a birth, it's called Heartbeat Conversations, we're all learning. Not every mom is going to want compression, hip compression. Not everybody is going to be, have a non-back issue, what to do for back pressure. So these are kind of like your cheaters, so to speak. But we have a year together. At least a year together. Because once you're certified, you just don't go away. We have a community. We have a constant support team. You guys have what I call 3 lifelines. So depending on who's got what issue, you kind of like fry out of ideas. Well, then there's others who, as we get to know each other and get to know your stories, what worked for you? Or what worked for their client? How did you do that? And if I tell you up front you've got 3 lifelines, you'll use them. Because if you've taken other trainings and you go out solo, who are you going to call? You don't have that umbrella. So these are your safety nets. Or sometimes we just need a different viewpoint. And it's nice to know that is already ingrained in the culture of the training. You already know in the culture of the training, you go as a team. And you work that out together, or you find another person in your area and we get them trained. So especially for your area, Crete. Now we already know that we've got a midwife coming down there in October. She's going to open up her office and she's going to need doulas. So far, you're it. So who do you want to work with? Somebody just as passionate as you. Somebody just as caring as you. And if I model it right, if I do the modeling and we do the verse well, you will duplicate that because you'll know what to look for. And you'll know why we're doing it the way we are. That builds safety with the client, with the practitioner, and with your team. Outcomes improve. So do you guys have any questions, any thoughts? So this is the other book. Ina May's. She ran the farm.
My favorite book.
Yeah, she has some wonderful, wonderful stories in here about the couple's experience.
I think that was a very good book to read, just like for me personally. So
Yeah.
I always recommend that to people, that book.
Yes.
Especially if someone's like scared to home birth. Like I look and I was like, I want to go visit that farm.
Yes. We try to encourage the couples to look at the Business of Being Born movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if they've not had any exposure one way or the other, whether they're choosing a hospital or choosing a home, that they watch Ricky Lake's Business Being Born, and she's made a couple, Jessica
Yeah.
told me she's made a couple others.
Yeah, I was looking for it, yesterday, actually. There's like 3 or 4 of them now.
So,
But you have to like subscribe to
yeah,
something.
so, I think Jessica invested in it, and she's been sharing her link.
Oh, okay.
So when I got Karen, NRP videos, I shared that with the students,
Okay.
you know, it runs out, so it ran out,
Mhm.
but it's important to have. So this book is the complete works of Florence Shin. And it's The Game of Life and How to Play It. She has 4 books in here. So the importance of this book is that we need spiritual renewal. We need affirmations to claim the space. If we are the guardians, the sacred guardians for the space, we need to know how to protect that space.
Yeah.
So this book is something you read on a little bit every day, just to remind yourself. And then there's the affirmations for prosperity, the right conditions, for faith, for healing, for eyesight, for guidance, for hearing, to be able to hear really what somebody's trying to say. So if a mom, for example, in labor, and a mom has this tone, she thinks something's wrong, but it's in that slight tone. You will know it when she says something's wrong. Her intuition has kicked in. If we're not listening to our intuition and we don't know how to use our intuition, we might miss it.
Yeah.
And that's on us. So our prayer life, our intuition side, we have to help increase our ability to be present. So I encourage everybody, clean the slate before you go to a birth. So if you're having issues with family members, clean it up. You know, say, I'm sorry, whatever. So my husband and I have a restart. Our restart is, I said, hi, I'm Carol. He says, hi, I'm Phil. And we just kind of, you know, if I had to say, I'm sorry for something, he had to, but then you have a restart. So when you're coming to that birth, we can't take that with us to the birth. It's our responsibility not to have that just upset. And if we're nervous, and we will be, when we get the call to go to a birth, I don't care who it is, you're still going to have some, is it going to work out, all that sort of stuff. So the affirmations are to give you peace and sincerity. And we want it to come, we want our energy to be love, joy, ease, and flow. So if we're about to do something, we can ask ourselves something, will this bring love? Will it bring joy? Will it bring ease? Will it bring flow? If it doesn't bring those 4 things, then we probably aren't supposed to be doing it.
Yeah.
Or our intention isn't quite the way it should be. Or we're not getting our yearnings met, and we're trying to get it met in a different way. So these things, these skills that aren't taught, they're caught, are actually your assets. Your things you've overcome, they are your assets. And your mountains, you've got somebody who's helped you, who have their hand out to you, you're having your hand out to the next person. We're all on this faith mountain. Some people are just down the road or up the climb a little bit higher. But they're encouraging us to keep going, just like I'm encouraging you guys. Yeah. Because you had the right heart calling. It makes it so simple. Do I think you're all gonna be fantastic? Yeah, because you had the right heart calling. And you will be blessed. You'll get paid for being you. Share your stories, you get paid for being you. Your story is your brand. You're not the Doula family brand, you are your brand. I'm just backing you up. But I want you all to be independently to be able to stand on your own brand. It's hard to choose a name for your brand. And then structuring that. How do you want it? You don't have to incorporate. You can do business ads, doing business ads. You don't have to incorporate. But it does need you and who you are to the fullest. So you weren't here yet, but last week there was supposed to be doing a collage. How do people see you on the front side and what you don't let people see on the back side? So if you haven't done that exercise, do it at home. And let's talk about it. Because the more you realize the backside is your gold mine. And you can stand in that. Because that nobody can knock you off your feet. Super moms. Because what you went through. Like you said, teenage mom, okay. But look what you've done. Look at what you've done and what the gold mine is to help another single teenage mom or younger mom. Right?
Yeah.
But do we hold shame from that story? Maybe. Do we need to? No. Society said, but that God didn't say. And that little person was divinely, he chose you or she chose you. You're supposed to be with these lessons for the next person. So I'm really going to encourage you to read the books. The other one is The Ultimate Gift. And I was looking for it and I can't find it. But The Ultimate Gift is read one chapter a month. Have you ever read The Ultimate Gift? Have you ever watched the movie?
Yes.
Okay, so the book is a little bit different, but take one chapter, one gift a month, and find a place to serve. Do the lesson. That's part of the scholarship. It isn't for my benefit, it's for you and your community's benefit. And you realize you build up, you become part of the greater community. So hopefully you get that, get it used, get it at the library. Libraries have them. Get at the library, find a way to get the book. Not audibly. This one, I know Jim Stovall, the author. I wrote to him. My foundation is based on his book. And he's blind. He's a blind author. And he audibly listens to a book a day. Sometimes up to 4 books a day. He puts it at high speed. But he also taught, and he used to get in a rowboat and row to the school that he taught at. Blind. So he's a remarkable person. But the principles, we're based on everything we're doing, and we're based on principles. So the principles hold. Whether this is the first time I see you and the last time I see you guys, everything I'm giving you are survival skills to help somebody else or help yourselves. And God forbid we have to really use them. in a bigger way than just this. And it's my prayer that you're all empowered and you will empower the next generation. So I know it's a little early. Does anybody have any questions? What to expect next week? You can start you can watch the videos. They're 4 hours long. They take this class to a little bit farther. And you'll get to have that constant review. You can do them, we're gonna break them up eventually into small bites. But when we first recorded, they're about 3.5 to 4 hours long. But the girls didn't read the books before they got into a birth. But getting into the birth inspired to read the books.
Right.
So this is what I say. In life, you get the test and then the lesson, but in the classroom, you get the lessons and then the test. But in real life, we all got tested first. We don't learn these skills in the classroom. We learn them by helping each other. Go out and find somebody to help. And if you know of a mom who needs you, who wants you to be your doula, say yes, but not independently. Call each other up and see who can be on my team. Present yourself as a team. And you will get, your value point of what to charge and all that we'll go into. But I want you at 3 births, 3 prenatals, 3 postpartum visits. So you have clients, you've got 2 prenatals at the birth, postpartum, and we're going to debrief 12. CPR, NRP, pretty much. And read the books. The books will just anchor what you learned at the birth. And you're going to love the people you practice with. If you're going to go into a hospital birth situation, they usually only let 1 doula in. You still present yourself as a team, because if the birth is long or something shows up. So Jessica went to a birth over here at Elmhurst. And Jennifer was in with the mom. And Jessica thought, well, why am I here? Well, there was a lady in the waiting room who was in labor who only spoke Spanish and no one could help her. So she's giving, instructions to the person, her family member who is coming in. We don't know how we're being divinely used. We just have to put ourselves into the offering plate and be willing to be willing. Any questions, any thoughts, any aha moments? You feel complete for tonight?
Yes.
Has it been full?
Yes.
Has it been full for you guys? Okay.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Good. So I want you to know, I think you're the best. And that I love you dearly. And don't let anybody tell you anything different. My opinion counts. Because that's what God says. So thank you, girls, for showing up. We will see you next week. Same get time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Carol.
Love
Bye,
you.
nice to meet you all.
Yes.
Bye.
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 Thanks, guys. Bye.
Good to see you. Bye.
Thank you, Rachel. All right, good night, guys.